How's it going, you guys? So in this video I wanted to clear up some of the questions and or the misunderstandings that a lot of people seem to have on my previous videos on probiotics and questioning the science behind it or the lack thereof, as well as the supposed benefits of these of probiotics in general. So one of the predominant rebuttals that I got on my video about probiotics was that, people seem to get benefits when they eat fermented foods. So I'll link the original video with timestamps down below in the description of this one, because in that video I specifically had explained why fermented foods, especially fermented plant foods like sauerkraut and kimchi and things like that, can have unique benefits that are not necessarily due to the probiotics. Mostly the lactic acid production and some of the other compounds that result in fermented foods, not the probiotics themselves, but compounds that are produced as a byproduct of fermentation besides probiotics. So, but I got comments like, oh, well, I feel when I eat kimchi or kefir or these fermented foods, my digestion improves. So if you go back and you look at the timestamps on the original video, you'll see that I had addressed that. Fermented foods, a lot of people seem to find that it improves their digestion. And improving digestion is highly subjective, and it can mean a lot of different things. Usually, most people's digestion problems are due to food intolerances that probiotic supplements, isolated probiotics, do not help. Fermented foods might help a little bit, but generally speaking, the most effective method of resolving digestive issues is simply by removing the foods that are causing them. And another aspect to this is improving stomach acid production. Okay, so I've talked to some people who removed all plant foods, all fermentable carbohydrates from their diet, and that's usually what causes digestive problems. Most people follow me for a long time probably already know that, but plant foods, the fiber and the outer shell of a lot of plant foods are generally very hard to digest for many people. And I've talked to some people who say even following a carnivore diet where they're not eating any of those plant foods, they still have bloating and digestive issues. And I've heard some people say that they have trouble digesting meat, and sometimes that's a nocebo effect from years of misinformation or veganism, especially, where you think meat rots in your colon, which is physiologically impossible. But a lot of times, if someone does have a problem digesting meat, it is due to a lack of stomach acid. Or not, no one can just completely lack stomach acid production, but hindrance or suppression of stomach acid production, or a less than optimal production of stomach acid. And so if you're not producing adequate levels or healthy levels of stomach acid, and let me remind you that a healthy human stomach is generally as acidic as scavenger animals out in the wild. It's said that healthy human stomachs have the similar or equal acidity to hyenas. So we should have very highly acidic stomachs that can readily deal with large amounts of meat. And I think, as I mentioned before, this is one of the main reasons why so many people follow carnivore diets or paleo diets or meat-heavy diets to reverse most of their diseases. This is why these diets are so popular, and I believe this is also why most people, after veganism, they find the solutions to their health problems that veganism couldn't fix in these meat-heavy diets. It's because our stomach and our body is designed to digest meat. But anyway, what I'm trying to get at here is that so most people can resolve their digestive issues by removing these fermentable fibers in plant foods. But some people who remove that, they still experience problems. And so they find when they add kimchi to their diet or they add sauerkraut to their diet, that their bloating improves or whatever residual digestive issues that they had previously might improve. And so this is where we have to make the distinction between fermented foods like kimchi and sauerkraut and even things like kombucha and kefir, which I think are probably different in their effects, in my opinion. But fermented foods are extremely different than probiotic supplements. And this is a huge problem in health science and just like nutrition and health information communities, is we're not looking at objective facts or reality or thinking critically about things. We're kind of just throwing blanket statements out there and making claims. People will say, kimchi improved my digestion, therefore probiotics are healthy and benefit digestion. But the problem is we don't have any causal evidence whatsoever that probiotics improve digestion to a significant degree. Most people who eat fermented foods and they notice benefits to their digestion, they didn't experience the same thing when they took probiotic supplements. Now, there are some reports of things like irritable bowel syndrome resolving some cases with certain strains of probiotic bacteria. And there was like one clinical trial that shows a small degree of effectiveness. But when you actually look at that intervention trial, you'll see that the magnitude of those effects are not significant, and very small amounts of people experience benefits in irritable bowel syndrome from probiotic supplements. Typically what you'll find though is fermented foods, a lot of people report benefits for irritable bowel syndrome and a wide variety of other digestive diseases when they eat them. But you have to also take into consideration the fact that people who are actively consistently consuming fermented foods on a regular basis, especially if they ferment them themselves, are probably shifted their entire diet along with the process. Because first of all, working as a personal trainer for so long, I know people have trouble changing their diet in general, let alone preparing their own food. Okay? And if they're willing to ferment their own food, or even like go out of their way to consistently consume fermented food in an attempt to improve their health, then these people are probably shifting a whole lot of other things in their lifestyle as well. So there's a lot of confounding factors here, and just claiming that probiotics are the cause of the improvements in your digestion or your mental health it's great that fermented foods have improved your health, but it is not beneficial to make that jump in logic that it was the probiotics that did so. But the only reason why we make that jump is because we have all these health authorities and experts claiming it's the probiotics themselves that are responsible for the benefits of fermented foods, when that's not. We don't have causal evidence for that. We have anecdotes, correlation data, and mechanistic data. We don't have intervention trials and the intervention trials we do have show little to no benefit or no significant difference. So, but we do have a lot of intervention trials showing, the mechanistic data itself is blaringly obvious. that when we consume enzyme supplements or a hydrochloric acid supplement, that we can improve digestion and the digestion of things like protein as well. Probiotics, there's no causal link. There's a correlation, and I talk all about it in the video that I'll link below at timestamps. I don't want to go into it in this video and make it another hour-long video, but the gist of it is correlation does not equal causation. The gut bacteria in your stomach, in your intestine, it is a reflection of the diet you're eating. And the diet you're eating is what's causing your health benefits. The bacteria in your intestine is not causing health benefits. You can't cure heart disease or cure diabetes or cure obesity. You can't treat any of these things. You can't treat autism or any of that. You can't treat mental illness with probiotics. None of these things can be treated with probiotic supplements, and that's what I'm trying to get at. None of these diseases can be treated with prebiotics either. There's no causal evidence, and it doesn't work. Most of these illnesses cannot be treated by directly modifying gut bacteria itself, and that is important to get after, because there's a lot of supplement salespeople who are trying to sell you prebiotic and probiotic supplements in the name of treating these diseases with faulty evidence in which there's no causal evidence. Now, if you change your diet and your nutrition, that can treat most of these diseases or drastically improve their symptoms. Even things like mental illness. Okay? So yes, nutrition can treat these illnesses or improve their symptoms. And when you change the foods you're eating, the composition of your gut bacteria will change. And then that's reflected in the research, but conflating causation to probiotics and intestinal bacteria, we don't even know what healthy bacteria even is, but yet we are like, oh, a healthy gut is so important, and that's not good. You should be very careful with shit like that. So, fermented foods have benefits, probably not due to probiotics. Maybe it is due to, changing intestinal microbiota, but most likely it has to do with other compounds. Production of lactic acid and other compounds that can stimulate stomach acid and stimulate digestive juices, digestive fluids. And there's a wide variety of other compounds that are produced from the fermentation process, especially for mental illness. Different neurotransmitters and biologically active compounds outside of probiotics can be created as a byproduct of fermentation. And you don't get these in probiotic supplements, and that would explain why so many people report having benefits from something like kombucha, for example, versus something like a probiotic supplement. People just don't experience the benefits. So I'm going to leave it at that. Let me know down in the comments if you have any other questions. I'll talk to you all next time.